Do not migrate the tool, migrate the program. The single biggest mistake I see organizations make is treating an SCA migration as a procurement event with a technical implementation attached, when in reality, the tool is the most replaceable piece of the whole system. I am Percy Rotteveel, founder of Rotteveel Consultancy, and I've spent roughly 25 years in cybersecurity with a heavy concentration in application security. For most of those years, my work has been about building and maturing AppSec programs inside complex organizations, which means I have looked at SCA from the buyer side, the integrator side, and the program architect side. What I'm not is a tool mercenary who jumps from one SCA platform to the next. I'm the person organizations talk to when they are trying to figure out whether their open source risk problem is a tooling problem, a process problem, or a leadership problem. In most cases, the honest answer is that it is a little of all three of them. And the tool is the most visible piece, but rarely the most important one. For the past 18 months, I've been working with ScanOSS to design the SCA Vendor Unlock Framework, a structured methodology for organizations that want to step out of expensive commercial SCA contracts without losing detection, compliance continuity, or developer trust. Organizations bolt SCA onto the pipeline as if it were a linter, and they call the job done. The scanner runs, the dashboard fills up, and nobody owns what happens next. The CISO assumes legal is handling the license findings. Legal assumes the security team is triaging the vulnerabilities. Engineering assumes the dashboard is somebody else's problem because nothing in their definition of done references it. That's not a tool failure. That's a program design failure that the tool simply makes visible. A modern SCA program actually has 4 streams running in parallel: license, security, cryptographic exposure, and geographic origin of the components. Most organizations only operationalize the first 2 because that is what their encumbered tool was built around 5 or 10 years ago. The crypto and geographic streams are increasingly where the real regulatory exposure is coming from, and they tend to be invisible until an auditor or a customer asks a very specific question. If your SCA tool went dark for 30 days, what would you lose? If the honest answer is not much, then the program was already coasting on inertia. If the honest answer is we would be blind to about half our material risk, then the program is alive, but it's dangerously depending on a single point of failure. The procurement team gets the quote for the next 3-year term. The percentage increase is well above inflation, and some senior asked the very reasonable question of why the bill keeps going up while the value proposition seems to be standing still. That is the moment when the AppSec leader is suddenly given permission to look at the alternatives. A specific failure event, a vulnerability gets through that the tool should have caught. An audit finds license exposure that nobody's seen, or a customer questionnaire services a gap that the team cannot defend. After an event like that, leadership start asking whether the current tool is genuinely the best fit or whether the organization has been coasting on the brand name. SCA is unusual among security controls because it touches every developer on every commit, every build, and every release. A big bang switch in that environment is not like swapping a firewall. It's like rewiring the steering column while the car is being driven on the motorway. If anything goes wrong, you have a blind spot that propagates through every team simultaneously. The framework I designed with ScanOSS is built around 6 phases: discovery, planning, preparation, migration, cutover, and stabilization. Each phase has a validation gate, a rollback point, and a clear exit criterion, so the organization can stop and rethink without losing what it has already built. That is very different from the Big Bang model, where the only options are commit or roll back. The other reason a phased approach matters is that it gives the internal champion something to defend. Migration is not just a technical project. It is an internal political campaign against the comfort of the status quo. The downside of a slow phased migration is that the project takes a few extra weeks. The downside of a botched Big Bang is that critical vulnerabilities are missed during the blind window, and the SA AppSec leaders spent the next year apologizing. Do not migrate the tool, migrate the program. The single biggest mistake I see organizations make is treating an SCA migration as a procurement event with a technical implementation attached, when in reality, the tool is the most replaceable piece of the whole system. The valuable thing is the program around it. The policies, the ownership, the metrics, the developer relationship, the reporting cadences, and the muscle memory of how findings actually become fixes. The practical way to apply that advice is to spend the first phase of the migration writing down the program as it is today, before you touch anything. That document is almost never written down anywhere. It lives in the head of 2 or 3 people. And the migration is the moment to externalize it. Once the program is on paper, the tool decision becomes much easier. You're asking, which vendor best supports the program we have written down? The industry talks about migration almost entirely in terms of data portability, while ignoring knowledge portability. The suppressions, the exceptions rationale, the we accept this risk because notes, all of that is the actual decision history of the security program, and most migrations lose it. The industry does not discuss honestly is the role of developer trust as a load-bearing component of an SCA program. We pretend SCA is an objective technical control, and then we are surprised when the same tool produces widely different outcomes at 2 organizations with similar code bases. The variable is not the tool. It is whether the developers trust the finding enough to act on them. A migration that does not explicitly include a trust rebuild is going to produce an expensive shelfware purchase. The SCA market has been quietly drifting away from open source provenance, even as the supply chain risk has become the dominant industry narrative. Most of the tools that prospects are paying premium price for were architected around license and vulnerability detection. And the 4 streams of modern program actually need license, security, cryptographic exposure, and geographic origin are unevenly served at best. That is an uncomfortable question for the industry, and I think it is the right question for the next 12 months.